The big breaking news story at this hour, at least 26 CRPF or Central Reserve Police Force Jawans have been killed in an encounter with Maoists in Chhattisgarh, Sukma district. They were from the 74th battalion of the CRPF and was a road opening party of the force that was attacked by the Maoists. This is the worst Maoist attack on security forces since April 2010 when the attack took place in Dantewada, which killed 76 CRPF Jawans.
नक्सलियों ने पहले गांव वालों को भेजा हमारी लोकेशन चेक करने के लिए, तो गांव वालों के हाथ में हथियार नहीं, हम गोली कैसे मारे उनको। बाकी उनके बाद में नक्सलियों ने लगभग 300 स्ट्रेंथ थी नक्सलियों की, मिलिट्री दल की, ब्लैक यूनिफॉर्म में थे सभी। उन्होंने हमारे ऊपर आधाधुंध फायर किया, फिर हमने उनको जवाबी कार्रवाई किया। नक्सली हमने भी बहुत मारे हैं, तो घायल भी है नक्सली।
हम लोग पोजीशन लेके बैठे थे, उसके बाद अचानक फायर आया, तो फायर करने के बाद हम लोग भी खुद फायर करने लगे। फिर फायर करते करते एडवांस कर रहे हैं, हम फायर कर रहे और एडवांस कर रहे थे, तो उनका तादाद आदमी थे, घेरने के चक्कर में थे, इसलिए हम लोग फायर कर रहे और एडवांस कर रहे थे। तो उसके बाद जैसे चोट लगा है तो उनको थोड़ा हमारे जैसे चोट लगा है तो बुरा है हमको जाने के लिए, बाकी फायर कर रहे हैं।
जो भी घटना हुई है बहुत ही दुखद है जी, दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है जी। और मैंने अपने गृह राज्य मंत्री हंसराज अहिर को यह कहा है तुरंत वहाँ पर पहुँचने के लिए, और वहाँ पर वो पहुँचेंगे। और कल किसी समय मैं भी रायपुर जल्दी से जल्दी पहुँचने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ। डॉक्टर रमन सिंह जी से भी मैं वहाँ के मुख्यमंत्री जी से भी बात करने की मैं कोशिश कर रहा था, लेकिन शायद दिल्ली से वो प्लेन में रास्ते में अब जाकर तुरंत मैं उनसे भी मैं बातचीत।
जवान पीछे हटने वाले नहीं है, मगर आने वाले समय में हमें और ज़्यादा सावधानी की ज़रूरत है। अभी मैं बैठूंगा सीआरपीएफ के और हमारे पुलिस के वरिष्ठ अधिकारियों के साथ इस पूरी घटना की और जानकारी लूंगा।
सर, 2 साल तक घटना नहीं हुई, अचानक घटना एक के बाद एक हो रही है।
उस सड़क के पीछे उनकी सबसे बड़ी ताकत लगी है और सुकमा ही उनका पूरा मुख्यालय है। यदि ये सड़क बना तो उनको मालूम है उनके पैर उखड़ जाएंगी। अभी गृहमंत्री जी से बात करके फिर अभी मैं घायलों को देखने।
Right, so we are asking, do we need a new tactic in dealing with red terror? Let me introduce my panelists to you right away. Sambit Patra, spokesperson of the BJP, with us. Pranay Sahai, ex-DG CRPF. And in the studio joining me, Ajay Shukla, defence analyst. Thanks all so much for taking our time to be here, especially at such short notice this evening. Let me start by asking you, Sambit Patra. Just last month, we saw the Home Minister say that the Maoists are restless because of the unprecedented success of security forces operations against them. Now, of course, many are asking if we've spoken too soon, and is it time, of course, to urgently look at the tactics that we are deploying in taking on Maoists in the country?
Definitely, Natasha, let me begin by paying condolences to the family of the bereaved soldiers who have lost their life today. And it's really a dastardly attack and our heart goes out for them. But just paying condolences would not serve the purpose, and as I rightly point out, we really have to think about the tactics and the way that is involved in dealing with an actual issue. As far as Mr. Rajnath Singh's statement that, well, yes, the tackling of the Maoist insurgency has been done in a successful way in the past, we have seen that this is one of the most important attacks after the 2000 attack where 76 CRPF Jawans had lost their lives. So there was, I would say, some kind of success for the last 2 years, but since about a month or so, we are seeing frequent attacks which have increased. And I'm sure with the MOS home now in the spot, Chhattisgarh Chief Minister Mr. Raman Singh and Mr. Rajnath Singh, as well as the Prime Minister, in loop in this issue, and with the Prime Minister tweeting that this martyrdom will not go in vain, we can expect something big in the days to come.
We can expect something big in the days to come. What could that be? That is, of course, still out there. Ajay, would you agree with that? That there's been some sort of a lull. Just last month, we saw those 12 CRPF Jawans killed when Rajnath Singh made that statement. But clearly, has there been a change in tactic? Has there been a change in the approach as far as the Maoists are concerned? What has changed, if Sambit Patra, if what he's saying is correct? There was a lull, and now, again, they seem to be upping the ante.
It's well known that the Maoists have, over the last 3 or 4 years, suffered very heavy losses. They've been on the run. They've been weakened, and there's no reason that I can think of, no military or security reason why this weakened force of Maoists should have achieved a kind of operational success that they have achieved. There is only one reason for that, and that is complete leadership failure within the CRPF and within the police forces of Chhattisgarh and the other states over there. It's difficult to say these words at a time when people have laid down their lives, and Sons of India have actually, these are families that have lost their loved ones and so on. But unless we sit down and take a hard look at exactly what the reasons for these debacles are, a hard-eyed analysis of the causes of these things, we will find, just like we have been having, this cycle of a spell of peace, and then you have an attack like this again. Dantewada happened, then there was peace, then this other attack happened 10 days back, then there was something, a lull for 10 days or so. This is not the last attack that will happen unless we don't radically change the way that we have been operating. Okay. There are lessons that have been learnt from attacks that go back for years, but those lessons simply don't feed back into the training loop of the security forces. There is very little. They keep making the same mistakes again and again. Right. They go out for patrolling. There is this one stretch of road in Chhattisgarh where this attack took place near Sukma, which is just about 75 kilometers long. We have a well-established pattern of permanent road opening in states like Tripura, which are far more jungle infested, far more difficult terrain. They just make sure the road is open all the time and cleared up to a distance of a kilometer. Here, we just blunder onto that road again and again, are taken by surprise. There seems to be, to put it in just one nutshell, no lessons learnt, the same mistakes made over and over again.
Pranay Sahai, you have been the ex-DG of CRPF. Would you agree with that? Why aren't we learning these lessons? Are these the blunders, like Ajay is saying, that we're committing over and over again?
First, my salutations to those who have lost their lives. My pranam to their family members. It's a great loss. It's a major incident, and so large number of people die. But let me tell you what the other expert has said. I'm not seeing him, but then the same force is operating in Tripura. The same force is operating in Jammu and Kashmir. We don't have so many casualties there. It is the same CRPF, same training, but then we don't have so many casualties there. There are definitely some different reasons here where this incident has taken place. I know in a road opening party, it's a very patterned movement. Somehow they have taken you by surprise. But then one has to look at some other things also. Just talking about CRPF will not do. Okay. Say a cross-border incident by a group of people in Mumbai. The investigation, the conviction of the case was followed up. I think it's very important to see what has happened in earlier cases by the investigation agencies. Why have adequate punishments not been given? Have the state governments or the concerned, whoever it is, have they taken adequate action? Has the judiciary been given such information so as to ensure that convictions of such people are there? There was an incident in which 77 people lost their lives. I am not aware whether any such conviction has taken place or not in this case.
Ajay, does it come down to accountability? Is there any accountability? Who's taking responsibility? Shekhar Gupta, interestingly, has tweeted on this saying, we keep hearing words like deplorable, cowardly, condemnable, but we don't seem to hear talk of accountability, responsibility. Is that it?
CRPF, and I have operated with the CRPF in J&K, there are very good officers in the CRPF. There are very good troopers in the CRPF. But they have to be directed correctly. They have to be organized, equipped, trained, and employed in a proper tactical manner, so that you achieve the best results from their presence. What happens after an attack like this is there's a finger pointing exercise that takes place. You'll again have a commission of inquiry. The poor people who have lost their lives today will probably be blamed for lapses in security drills and so on. But when you sit down in the Home Ministry, you have this ridiculous situation where you have a bunch of bureaucrats ruling on matters that affect the lives and the operations of CRPF over there without really having any clear inputs from lower level Jawans. I've never heard of, let's say, a DSP from the CRPF who's employed in a particularly hot spot being called to the Home Ministry to brief the bureaucrats over there. Right. everybody will sit in the room, everybody is an equal, except that the senior people who have no experience on the ground at all are more equal than the others.
Okay, I'm going to get Sambit Patra to respond to that. So Sambit, come in here. That's of course a good point that Ajay is making, that in a sense our policy makers are divorced from reality and what's happening on the ground in a sense.
See, Natasha, certain facts need to be stated over here because these facts would be extremely important since, in fact, the attack has just taken place. Number one, as far as the preparation of the CRPF and the Indian state as such is concerned in this particular case, fact number one is in 2016, for the first time in the history of combing down Naxalism, the number of Naxalites killed were more than the number of Jawans killed. The number of Naxals killed in 2016 was 135 and the number of police personnel and Jawans killed total in 2016 was 45. So naturally the direction in which the government, the CRPF and the forces supposed to contain Naxalism was in the right direction. In 2017 also 36 Naxals have been killed as yet. Now you have to know certain very important things as far as this particular Sukma incident is concerned. Look, it is the kind of narrative that the leftists maintain in this is that Naxalism is a problem because development has not reached the last corner. It is just contrary to it. 225 kilometers of road were constructed in 2016 and this road where the attack has taken place, it's a small stretch of few kilometers. It is by the name of Dornapal Jagargunda Road. The Naxals had opposed it right from the very beginning, that they did not want the construction of this road because that was leading to the heart of Naxal belt, and because of this opposition and because of the last bit of existence of Naxalism, because it leads to the heart of Naxal infiltration, that they have done so. But strictest action would be taken as promised by none other than the Prime Minister. I thought these data should come to the fore today because we should know the specifics as well.
Okay, I'm also joined by Vikram Singh, former DGP UP. Just, there are just people now this evening, on social media, like we've just been discussing, talking about just the horrors that our forces have to go through. They're talking about the police, paramilitary forces, the army, and all of that. As far as internal security is concerned, do you believe that we are on track? That we're taking the issues seriously and bull by the horn?
Natasha, are we on what?
Are we on track? Are we sort of addressing the issues that we ought to? Because we're coming up with all the very politically correct statements like we've been talking about, but what about accountability? What about responsibility after an attack of this magnitude?
Obviously, Natasha, accountability has to be, and it is an imperative. As Ajay ji had mentioned, what happened to those who have faulted in the ambush of 70 CRPF Jawans or in earlier encounters where we were caught on the wrong foot, and if we have not punished the guilty, then I would not say that there should be persecution, but there should be, you have to be cruel to be kind. If you are liberal in such cases, you end up having more casualties as in this unfortunate case. You have to take the bull by the forearm. There are no soft options. CRPF is an outstanding force, as the ex-DG has mentioned, and I would certainly contradict Ajay ji for the fact that CRPF, there are no bad soldiers, there are only bad generals. And we have to have a course correction once in a while. If we do not draw our lessons, if we do not implement, we do not improve our training, we do not have UAVs, even if it is the heart of Naxalism, are we absolutely helpless in a manner? What about technological upgradation? What about UAVs? And these 300 Naxalites do not descend from thin air. There obviously will have to be a time lag. The locals must have given them the reinforcements, intelligence and reinforcements. And the intelligence is there to cater to all this. And if it has not been catered to, what was the intelligence doing? What was the local police doing? And to that extent, I agree with Ajay ji. Somebody should be held accountable for not predicting and not informing the local police and the CRPF that there is a movement of 300 plus Naxalites. And therefore, the unfortunate ambush that has taken place.
Right. Again, you're saying investigate just what has happened here, lapses, or just how the other side managed to regroup. But Pranay Sahai, come in at this stage. The point that's being made here that there are no bad soldiers, there are only bad generals.
I totally agree with this point. Accountability has to be there. I believe the fighting force, whenever a Jawan goes out, he wears a kafan on his head and he knows that is going out. And therefore, as far as the Jawan is concerned or the NCO is concerned, these are the major casualties happening in any incident. And therefore, there has been some lack of thinking, some lack of operational preparedness, some violation of standing order, which has definitely led to this incident. Although I believe the press media is saying that 10 to 12 Naxals have also been killed in the particular incident. But then I am also of the view that it's absolutely a cowardly act by the Naxals who were in the back foot for quite some time, and it is to boost their particular morale in this particular case.
Undoubtedly, we'll of course be hearing a lot on all of that, just what happened, standard operating procedures, whether they were followed or not. But the one big question, Ajay, that keeps coming back, the point that Vikram Singh also made, are we sending half-trained Jawans there out to die? Not equipped, not prepared, no resources?
This is an easy question to answer. The answer is yes.
I have
the CRPF has not.
I mentioned that these are the very Jawans operating in Jammu and Kashmir. They have handled insurgency in Tripura. They have finished insurgency in Tripura, and therefore, as far as training is concerned, could be that operational preparedness, which DGP Mr. Vikram Singh also said, a lack of intelligence which has happened with regard to particular incident. And in ROP, the pattern is, it is very patterned, and therefore some amount of breaking that pattern.
So
I'm going to get Ajay to respond to that. The same force working in other places doesn't face these kind of casualties.
I'm not going to respond to that. I would throw the question back at the CRPF former DG and ask him, why is it that these same Jawans that he says operate perfectly well in J&K and other places, why do they face such debacles in Maoist terrain? Let him answer that.
Okay.
No, the issue was raised was regarding training. It is again, I can give reasons for that right now, but there are a large number of reasons for this particular thing. And say Jammu and Kashmir, the media also being slightly J&K centric, there the casualties of some other forces are much more. The CRP doesn't lose out so much, because the first responder has to lose in a fair battle with the opponent.
Sir, the aim is not just to not have casualties. The aim is to achieve a degree of operational sanitization of the area, to clamp down on insurgency in a particular area. And the fact of the matter is that numerous observers who have gone and seen the CRPF operate particularly in Dantewada and in Chhattisgarh, other areas, say that the tactics that they follow are just calculated to draw casualties in an ambush. When an ambush takes place, starting from Dantewada, starting from the ambush 10 days ago to today as well, the sort of the pattern of operations seem to have been the same. Everybody goes to ground. Everybody tries to occupy a limited piece of scrub that is there. The Maoists have already put IEDs in those same areas, because it's obvious that those are the areas that are going to get occupied, and massive casualties take place. This happens again and again and again. And those lessons are not learnt, which is why I say that the CRPF is not drawing.
Which is what is both frightening and frustrating at the same time. Sanjay Jha, come in at this stage. You know, it's been nearly a decade since Manmohan Singh said that the Maoist movement was India's greatest internal security threat. But many would say that the one problem in successive governments has been treating it only as a law and order problem. Would you agree?
No, I would agree with that, and I do believe that you know, this is absolutely an ugly manifestation of the violent bloodbath that the Maoists create sporadically. And you are absolutely right, Natasha, because you know, end of day, as all the experts are very correctly stating, that you know, there are obviously certain operational training or resource deployment or intelligence issues that are probably come into play in this current you know, act of mindless bloodshed. But on the other hand, there is also the big challenge that we have, which is long term, is how do you get these you know, violent proponents of this philosophy to enter the democratic mainstream. So I think, you know, it's a complex issue. I think we need to accept that. And I think when Dr. Manmohan Singh mentioned that the entire red corridor is very susceptible to a internal security threat that India faces, I think, you know, we clearly anticipated a very difficult, you know, kind of predicament that India has to face. And I think without getting into the politics of it, I think all governments which are affected, whether it's Andhra, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Jharkhand, etc., I think need to be very proactive. And, you know, I agree with all the experts on the panel who are saying that we need to be very professionally prepared, because these are sensitive zones where you can anticipate an extremist reaction. And it's very sad that you have some brave soldiers of India dying for no fault of theirs.
Sambit Patra, coming at this stage, this is of course a protracted war in the heart of India, and really it's a zero-sum game. You said right in the beginning that there's going to be some sort of a strong response, but give us a sense of what we can expect, because that I think is what people want to hear tonight.
No, there should not be any chest beating right now in the debate. It's a very solemn moment and I do not want to go into that tangent at all. But surely Prime Minister has tweeted and he has confirmed, he has reaffirmed to the nation that this martyrdom of our soldiers is not going to go in vain. And I'm sure that, that some kind of action in line that the martyrdom does not go in vain will take place. But the bigger issue over here is, remember, I'm sure Mr. Ajay has also talked about it, the CRPF, former DG has also talked about training of the CRPF Jawans and intelligence failure, maybe, may not be. But the bigger issue over here is we have a second component as well. Remember, the second political component and the component oft seen over here is that we often have a debate that should India, whenever we prepare for such kind of battle, we have a debate in a section in India who try to derive the narrative to the ground that should India fight its own citizen? Is Naxalism because of some kind of development not reaching the poor? And then we have the human rights factor also cropping in. Remember Professor Sai Baba, when Professor Sai Baba was taken to the court, the kind of impediments that the government had then, there were all kinds of debates taking place. So surely this is a time when we all need to huddle together and we need to speak in one voice.
Fair enough, but of course the focus this evening again has been just what is going to be India's policy. And while you may disagree that this is, it's not really fair to blame only development, but it's hard to argue that that perhaps was the genesis of Red Terror in the country. Panay, what is the one thing you would want to hear from the Prime Minister? What is the one policy approach that you would like to see from the Home Minister to really make a real difference on the ground?
I'm not getting you very clearly, but then I personally, I've been in my assessment. If on a scale of 10, if you see the various insurgency level, the Maoist outbeats all the insurgency. Even with reference to the degree of brutality, the degree of violence, they are much more a bigger threat than Jammu and Kashmir. Generally, the media takes on the Jammu and Kashmir incident much more, but you see in each incident the level of brutality, the number of killings, the volume of killings, the volume of people involved is much higher as compared to any insurgency in the country.
Absolutely
so
not.
The point made by,
but not really sure whether it's only fair to shoot the messenger at this stage. But I take the point that you're making. Yes, Ajay.
I just want to say one thing. That one step that you talked about, that one step should be the Prime Minister should ensure that every CRPF Jawan who goes in to fight the Maoists in the front lines in Chhattisgarh, wherever, Telangana it might be, should be trained, should be equipped, and should be mentally prepared to take on the Maoists. The CRPF is 7 lakh strong. It's almost as large as the Indian Army, not very much smaller. And it has the different kinds of components for different kinds of jobs, but they all end up doing a mixed kind of hodgepodge. You will find old people also there in a Maoist operated terrain. You will find young, hungry troopers who should be fighting the Maoists are doing electoral duty in some state. The CRPF needs to organize itself. It needs to make sure that the people it sends into combat against the Maoists are trained, equipped, ready, and sort of mentally prepared to take on the job that they are expected to do. Otherwise, if they're just being thrown in there as cannon fodder against this sort of very vicious element that they're facing, we'll keep seeing incidents like this.
That, of course, like I said, is a frightening thing. Vikram Singh, last words from you, sir. What do you believe is the one thing that the government should say? What do you believe is the one thing that the Prime Minister, the Home Minister should do to convince our soldiers out there, our CRPF Jawans out there, that the story is not going to keep playing out endlessly like we have seen over the last couple of years?
Natasha, the CRPF is the best force that we have, and we are putting our best foot forward. But unfortunately, it's overworked, it's overutilized, and therefore sleep deprivation, over-deployment, and therefore the stress has indeed impacted its efficiency. There are best practices that we have. The greyhounds of Andhra Pradesh, look what they have delivered in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. The time has come to put synergy and put into practice the best practices of the greyhounds. the SUP, STF and ATS and bring them together with the CRPF, and I think we would be in a position to give a befitting reply. Yes, there are infirmities, but this calls for a course correction, and we have it in the CRPF leadership to deliver that.
Sambit Patra, last words. Can we go wrap this up tonight, knowing that all these kind of inputs that we're getting here, and of course I'm sure that the government will get at much higher levels as well, will now go into some sort of formulation on what the road ahead will be, and that we will just not keep talking about condolences, like I said, and cowardly acts, but some kind of reform that is perhaps needed, or accountability that is clearly very, very important at this stage?
No, definitely. Remember, during the last few months, the maximum number of surrendering that has taken place as far as the Naxals are concerned, that really has taken place. And the most important issue over here is I draw inspiration from the words of the Prime Minister when he has tweeted saying that this martyrdom will not go in vain. So we have to wait, no chest beating, and we just have to wait without any kind of politicization. I'm sure that the strong government is going to take strong steps.
Right. Many, of course, would say that it's great to have a strong government, but you also need a strong force out there if you are to change the narrative on this. But thanks all so much, Sambit Patra, Sanjay Jha, Pranay Sahai, Ajay Shukla, Vikram Singh. Thanks all for joining us on the program this evening. This is, of course, more on this.